Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to Tools Day. My name's Kyle, and I thought today we would talk about arguably the most important or most common power tool. So today we're going to talk about drills, and I think that's because most importantly this is probably the most common power tool that people are going to own. But there's always a little bit of confusion about what drill they should have, so I thought I'd do a video about that. Now before we get going, I want you to all know that these drills were not picked because I love them. They weren't picked because somebody sent them to me and I got to feature them. They just were in my shop right now, and I wanted to grab a bunch of different types of drills so that I could talk to you guys about the differences so you can make an informed decision, and I can let you know how I use them personally in my business. Now make sure if you guys do enjoy the Tools Day, you go ahead and think about hitting that subscribe button down below so you can catch every weekly video that we do along with some of the build series. But let's get into this. In thinking about this video, and really, people always asking me, what tool should I buy, Kyle? What drill should I get? I always have to say, I can't tell you that. You have to think about your application, and you have to think about what you're going to be doing daily and what makes sense for you. The first drill I'm going to talk about is strictly a drill driver. Now, this is probably the most basic of drills, and this was the only one I could find in my shop that was just a drill driver. It didn't have any hammer drill, and it didn't have any impacting abilities. Typically, a drill driver is going to be the most basic of drills. You can think about it like a screwdriver with power. That's basically all it does, is it turns in a rotational axis. And the nice feature about a power drill obviously is you don't have to manually do anything, and it's got a little bit of smarter, inside. You can change the clutch, which means it's going to basically clutch out and stop driving whatever you're doing once it hits a certain torque. You can also change the speeds on it, and you've got variable speed in most of the triggers, so you can slowly ramp up. But really, guys, that is it. A drill driver is going to turn, and it's going to turn faster or slower depending on what setting you have it in. Now, the next drill we're going to talk about is a hammer drill, and a hammer drill is going to be basically the same as a drill driver. The only difference is it adds the option for hammering your fastener or your drill bit. So what that does is, while it is spinning, it has a mechanism in here that is also driving an anvil inside that's adding that longitudinal force to your fastener or drill bit while you're going, which is going to allow you to get through a lot harder, denser surfaces like concrete, masonry, or brick. However, that does mean that you're going to have a trade-off, which is typically weight, size, and cost. So this is going to cost more than a standard drill driver. Next, we're going to talk about an impact driver. Now, these, I feel like, as of the last 5 years, have become just so prevalent, and they're everywhere, especially as a tradesperson. If you don't have one of these, you're missing out. An impact driver is going to be lighter weight, it's going to be smaller. It's not going to provide you with the same drilling ability maybe as a standard drill, but when you're dealing with fasteners, screws, large lags, whatever it may be, it drives a lot quicker with a lot less effort to the user. But the trade-off here is they're usually quite loud, and they are pretty expensive for what they are. Additionally, you do get some vibration out of this tool because not only is it hammering like a hammer drill, but it's also hammering on a rotational axis. So you're not only getting the added benefit of like a hammer drill to get through hard surfaces or apply torque to a fastener, it's also hammering rotational. So you're getting a couple extra features which is going to allow you to get large fasteners in quick without effort, but it really adds a lot of vibration to your body, which is never any good. Now, that is kind of the general idea on what the difference is between those three really just categories of drills. And I know I kind of touched on some of the uses, but for me specifically, just to give you an idea what I use them for, maybe that will help you in determining which one you should buy, is with a drill, I really only use this to make small drill holes. I don't do a ton of large like hole saws like you got here on this hammer drill. This is gonna be something for smaller applications, small screws. I use this a lot when I'm putting together face frames for my windows with the Craig jig, just because it's super small, it's super lightweight, it has the necessary power to do, you know, small tasks, right? So that's really all I use this for. Hardly ever do I use a plain old drill driver. Why? Because I just am usually out on the job site where I usually require something with a little bit more power, something that I want to just do things quicker, faster, stronger. And that's where most of these heavy duty application drills, they come with a hammer drill option now. So I'm using this to do, maybe I'm setting some tap cons into some concrete, whether we're, you know, putting some splashboard up on a building foundation wall, or just repetitive large drilling. So we do a lot of 1/2-inch bolts in our truss to post connection. If you guys don't watch the build series, go check it out where, you know, I'm showcasing that process, and maybe it will make a ton more sense. But just know that in general, if you step up to a hammer drill driver, you're gonna be gaining a lot more power and a lot more torque and control over doing larger things. A lot of these drills also are coming out with basically an electric brake. So when you're doing large drilling with either a hole saw or you're going into really hard surfaces like concrete that you're gonna hit rebar, they're actually smart enough to recognize that when you hit something, they stop themselves automatically. And I'll be honest, if you guys have been in the trades or been doing this long enough and you've got one of those old corded drills and they got a lot of power, but when you hit something, you can just about break your arm. Personally, I've done it many times, not broke my arm, but just in general been scared and probably banged up when something comes around. So that's kind of the cool technology with these drills, is they're getting powerful and safer to use as we progress. But that's kind of a drill driver, hammer drill. That's what we use. For me, this drill here, which is an impact driver, is on my tool belt basically all the time. Why? Because I'm out on the site and I'm always using screws, driving, just a ton of them. And this provides me the ability to have very precise control without a lot of effort. And I'm outside where noise is not typically a problem, because if you're inside doing a bathroom remodel or a kitchen remodel and you're just putting in fasteners, even though this gives you a lot of control, it might be a little annoying to maybe the person's house you're working in, or just to you in general. So this is something that is great for me. It might not be the best fit for everybody out there, but know that I feel like the impact driver has become the kind of jack of all trades drill that guys are going out and getting. But don't forget that there's a benefit to using a hammer drill or a small drill driver if all you're doing is just putting in, let's say, a 1/4-inch hole into some wood before you put a large fastener in. So just a quick recap before maybe we get into some demos is drill driver, small holes, small screws, quiet, usually the cheapest option out there. If you're gonna step into something more heavy application based, as into concrete, or you just want that power and you don't care about sacrificing price or weight, you're gonna step up to one of these hammer drill drivers that is just the premium drill out there. And if you're doing large fasteners and you just wanna get in, get out, and you don't care about the noise, the vibration, you just want speed and torque and precision, you're gonna step up to an impact driver. There you go, that's kind of the gist, in a nutshell. Now let's kind of go through some of these in a demo mode and show you kind of the differences to help maybe educate you a little bit further on making that decision. So I thought for demo purposes, what we would do is kind of demo each of these categories of tools. Now remember, I'm not saying this Dewalt impact is the best impact and that this Bosch, whatever this little drill is the best drill. We're just showing an application-based category on drilling and screwing with these 3 different types of drills to kind of show you the differences. So what I'm gonna do is I've got this bit here that is also an impact rated bit, so I can put it in and out of an impact, which is kind of the nice thing as these have gotten more popular. Brands are coming up with more accessories for impacts. So that allows a guy not to have a drill. You can just use your impact. But let's go ahead and make some drill holes just with this drill, with the hammer drill, with the impact, so you can kind of see the differences and see what makes sense. First, we'll do the little one. Now I've got this on, all of these are going to be on their highest speed possible and their drill setting on the drills, so just so you know. Okay, pretty darn fast. It's only a 1/4 inch bit, but you get the point. Let's throw it on the hammer drill, see if we see much difference. Okay, faster, no doubt. Now the impact. Okay, faster yet probably. Now in my opinion, what that means is that all of these are very fast. To me, none of them would signify a reason to outbuy or go out and buy one versus the other for this application. That being said, you could probably get away with a cheap drill driver if you're screwing or drilling a 1/4 inch bit hole into lumber. Does that make sense? I think so. Let's go on now to a larger bit to see if that gap between these spreads out. So what I've got is a 1 inch nail strike. So what this is going to do is it's got an auger tip, which requires a lot more torque and power from the drill, because this is actually pulling the bit in while it's spinning, forcing it to go faster, but also requiring more energy from the drill. So let's start with the Bosch here. Now remember, it's not about comparing the tools specifically, but just the fact that this is just a drill driver. All right, now I believe that that's probably not a fair comparison because this tool is way underrated than this tool. What I'm gonna do is actually drill through this lumber with this on the drill setting, and then for the comparison, we'll turn it to the hammer drill setting to kind of show you the difference to see if you really need a hammer drill. So first, we're gonna go through with the drill. Now let's turn the hammer drill function on and you can kind of get a feel for what the difference is. So a lot more noisy, more annoying, and it does add vibration to your arm while you're doing it. I don't really see a huge difference in speed or a reason to go out and buy a premium hammer drill versus just drilling, because the bit does a lot of the powering through the material if the drill has the power for it. Now, where this is gonna shine, a hammer drill, is through really hard surfaces, not like lumber. So we're actually gonna have to go outside to get some concrete. I got some concrete blocks out in my lot, and we can drill through concrete to showcase the difference between just a regular drill setting versus a hammer drill setting. Now we'll go out and look at that concrete application in just a second. First, I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the impact driver just to get a feel for how it operates. And I think you're gonna hear the noise from this. It's a little bit much. So not only is it loud, but the way it works is it's not a continuous spin. Therefore, it's not putting that torque to this thread on the end of this bit as quickly. Therefore, it's not going as fast. It needs to hit that bit every time with the hammer in order to drive it, versus a drill is just gonna be a constant spin, and it's gonna go through the material a lot quicker and a lot quieter. Now let's go ahead and go outside and we'll run some hammer drill bits with the hammer drill function versus a non-hammer drill function and see how it performs in a hard surface like concrete. Now there's really no reason to have an impact out here to showcase drilling into concrete, because you're never going to use an impact. It just doesn't work as well. So what I'm going to do first is use this drill as a drill only, and then I'll turn it over to the hammer drill function so you can really get a feel for the difference. So just into some concrete, I got an SDS or I got a masonry bit on here, and here we go. Okay, so it is going to do it, but it's going to take some time. Now let's go ahead and we'll turn this on to the hammer drill function, and I guess watch the difference. So I'm not going to say that this is going to save you like 1,000,000 times over to do an SDS over a regular drill, but it's going to take a lot less effort from you as the user because the hammering in the drill is actually going to do the work versus you having to push down hard without the hammer drill function. Now, as far as the application of screwing goes, what I thought I'd do is I kind of do some small fasteners and some large fasteners, just so you can kind of gauge the difference. Now, using this small drill driver here, the Bosch, obviously it's not going to have the same amount of power as this 18-volt Hitachi is going to have, but just to show you that when you're doing some smaller fasteners that don't take a lot of effort, you can get away with a small drill and you don't have to have the most powerful big drill out there. So, you know, pretty easy, pretty good. You know, you get a bigger drill, you step up into, I don't know, we step up into this Hitachi. And clearly we're gonna probably have all the power in the world. I mean, I could have drove that thing forever. But what's nice about a drill like this when you're into some screws is you've got these clutches here. And so you can change the clutch setting so that it clutches out before it actually, I don't know what I'm on. This thing's too powerful. You kind of hear that? So it's really annoying, it's really loud, but you can see it basically set my fastener right down to the surface, but it's not going anymore. And you can, if you want to overdrive it, you've got the ability to go ahead and add a little bit of power to the drill and keep going. So that's kind of nice. However, it can be a little finicky and these drills can be very fast and they're long, they're bulky. If you've ever tried to get a screw set, it sometimes can be very challenging, especially if you're newer to the trades and you don't use this all the time. Like I take, for example, my son, you know, he's only 11. When he uses a drill like this, it's very hard to be straight and not strip out your screw. And that's something that we didn't really talk about. When I first started, everything was drills and I scripted more screw heads than I've probably ever done with an impact because they're so much more controlled. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. So first off, you can see the dimension of it. It's a lot smaller head, which means your balance is a lot easier to get right over your screw and control it. Now so you'll notice that in the sound, you'll hear this drive in like a driver. It's just gonna go straight in. But as soon as the drill senses that it needs more torque, that's when it starts to engage that hammer mechanism, and that's when that noise comes out, the vibration comes up. But that's also where I gain a lot of control when that starts happening. I don't just keep drill driving in, or I don't just keep screwing in like this guy. I start to gain a little bit of control. So maybe that makes sense. It's kind of a hard thing to exactly deliver out here on a video, but if you've used one of these, or if you're looking for more control, you're gonna use something like this. Now let's go to a larger fastener where hopefully, once again, we can kind of broaden the difference between these different types of drills. Now I'm just gonna totally skip this little drill driver. We're just gonna go ahead and put this Torx bit. This is a T30, and I'm going to use some of these GRK RSS bits or screws, and these are, I think, 3 1/4, but they're a 1/4 inch lag, and I typically will use these when we've got some structural connections that we've got to do. But you know, once again, kind of look at the difference in length of the tool itself. So you know, that's another really big selling point of an impact driver, is that the size of it, it just makes it more comfortable to use. And you're gonna see that this drill still has tons of power and the ability to deliver it to this screw pretty effortlessly. But you'll notice at the end, when I finally hit that surface and it wants to start doing something to go deeper, watch what the drill does. Okay, so you saw that, right? You seen as soon as the torque got to a point where, you know, I could have had my 2 hands on this and holding it, but it just doesn't have that same, I guess, level of comfort when it delivers that torque to the fastener, like you'll see when I put the impact. Okay, I need to change my bits. Okay, here we go. So with the impact, you're gonna notice speed, but you're also gonna notice noise and a lot more control. I can do this with one hand and effortless the way it delivers that torque. It's definitely a trade-off. You're gonna have noise, you're gonna have vibration, and all those kind of negatives that kind of transfer through your arm and can cause issues down the road, but it has super manageable power and it allows you to drive large fasteners effortless. Now, I have talked about this in the past, and this is the Surge from Milwaukee. I typically will use this or the Makita Oil Impulse, and this is not a, you know, once again, it's not about sponsored by Milwaukee because they don't sponsor me. However, I bought this drill and I love it. I'm gonna show you the difference in what technology is bringing to the game, and that's with the hydraulic driver. Listen. Oh, that's a bent screw. Now I grabbed a longer screw here just so you can kind of hear the difference. I definitely don't recommend using the hydraulic driver for large fasteners repetitively, but it definitely does just fine if you're just doing one or two every once in a while. What happens is the oil inside this drill that is making it so smooth and quiet compared to a regular driver, it does heat up and the viscosity level drops, which then you lose your power and your torque, and it will get louder. So just a heads up, if you're gonna go out and buy an oil impulse driver like the Surge, like the Makita Oil Impulse, know that over repetitive use, I have experienced issues where it basically almost seems like the battery's dead, it's got no power, and it gets loud because I overused it. So just a disclaimer there. But for this application, I want you to hear the difference. Now, I know the audio is probably not going to show it, but between the sound being less and the vibration to my arm being less, this is a much more enjoyable impact to use than a standard impact. However, you do lose a little bit of speed, a little bit of power, and I think the longevity of the tool will probably be compromised if you're doing large fasteners. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys, that every tool has its purpose. You're not just gonna go out and buy one tool to do them all perfectly. However, with this video, hopefully if you're looking to buy that first drill, you can kind of say, well, I really just need to put in some small fasteners, some small holes that I gotta drill. Maybe you just need a drill driver, man. Go out and get a pretty cheap one, because I'll be honest, most tools today are very good. If you're gonna step up your game and you're gonna go out and make a living, maybe you wanna buy something that's like a hammer drill driver so you have the ability to kind of have the all-in-one tool to drill large holes, put in some large fasteners, maybe at the sacrifice of, you know, the quality side or the ergonomics of putting in a large fastener. But that's where you're gonna step up to, you know, maybe an impact driver. It's not gonna be your everyday drilling tool. However, you can get away with putting some holes into material with the right accessories, you know, such as this that have the 1/4-inch hex key on it to do that. However, all of these tools are awesome, and if you guys want more information, check the descriptions down below. I'll probably try to throw up some stuff. Once again, I'm not recommending you go out and buy these. I'm just saying what a difference is between a drill, a hammer drill, and an impact driver. So thanks a lot, and make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you didn't already, for, you know, to follow along and catch out next week's Tools Day, or go back and look at some of these past Tools Day videos. I appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys later.